What is up, fellow nerds, and welcome to another Not Your Status Quo episode of What's Next on WandaVision.
Wait, there is nothing next on WandaVision. This was called even the name of the show was Series Finale.
That is true, but it doesn't mean that there isn't anything next for Wanda. We also know that she's going to show up in Doctor Strange Multiverse of Madness, and she's not out of the MCU. In fact, it kind of seems like she's a bit of a villain now. Ugh.
Who's been messing up everything?
Wanda.
We have heard rumors that she might show up in Spider-Man No Way Home also. And that was, she hinted at it. It's not us hinting at it. So I do think there is a very strong possibility that she's going to take that classic heel turn and she's going to be at odds with her fellow heroes.
Okay, the way that they trolled us all through WandaVision with dropping all of these things that we ended up taking as theories, and yes, I am very bitter about a lot of that stuff, and I'm blaming them, even though it's my own fault for thinking all of these things are going to happen. I don't trust anything that they said, and I don't even know who's going to show up in Spider-Man or in what.
Hey, Doug, just remember,
the devil's in the details, Bev.
Yeah,
you know what? that really pisses me off.
Oh, and the big buildup that they had on Dottie. You know, she's got to be the one you get in with for the children, and then nothing. I was kind of disappointed in that myself.
Dude, Dave, me too. I mean, oh my God. Okay, so even I didn't catch on to the whole that she could be one of these sorcerers until Keith started talking about it, and then now I'm super built up and I'm looking forward to it, and I'm thinking, oh, this is definitely for real. This is totally gonna happen.
Hey, you guys, her child was locked in her closet, and you're upset that she wasn't a sorcerer. Seriously, guys, check yourself.
Before I wreck myself? Oh. Is that what you're saying?
She was being held hostage by the Scarlet Witch, and you guys are worried that she's not a sorceress. I mean, come on.
Keith, you don't understand what Wanda sacrificed for all of these people. I can't even look at you.
They'll never know what you sacrificed for them.
It wouldn't change how they see me.
Yeah, that kind of leads me into my one of my points, that at the end of the show, Agatha wasn't really the bad guy. She was just the person who made Wanda realize what she was doing.
What are you doing to her? You're making her say this.
She's your meat puppet. I just cut her strings.
All her intentions were just to gain the knowledge so she could do it herself. She didn't actually do it herself. And at the end of the show, Wanda ends up punishing Agatha for crimes committed by Wanda. What?
Yeah, I mean, clearly. Okay, you guys got to be with me on this one, right? That was a war crime, right? That's not cool what she did.
No, please.
I'm sorry.
No, you're not. You're cruel.
That was absolutely not cool. The Geneva Convention right now is writing, or the Sokovia Accords.
But that's in direct violation of Section 36B of the Sokovia Accords.
Whatever it is in the MCU, they are currently writing up things against, Wanda Maximoff, because
even the Fonz thinks that's uncool.
Do you know how beautiful you are when you're angry?
You can't just okay, I don't care that you're a witch or a wizard or whatever, you can't just change somebody's entire reality and then trap them as a different person in a fake town. We got to draw the line.
But that leads us to a question. What's next for Agatha? We're not done. I can't imagine we are done with her in the MCU. So what happens next? Are we going to see her sooner than later? Because obviously she's a pretty strong witch. She is either going to be able to get out herself, or is someone else going to free her? And I think we know who she's going to go after and really want to hold accountable for what happened. It's going to be Wanda. So is she either going to A, rat out the Scarlet Witch for having the Darkhold, or B, is that all going to play out before Agatha gets freed? But she's definitely going to be back, and it just all depends on who frees her. Are we going to see another sort of evil magic user like Mordred from the comics or something else? Or is she going to be able to free herself from this? Because as Wanda's away, we saw Wanda at the end of WandaVision. She's at Wundagore Mountain or Slovakia or, Weapon X facility. I'm not sure where she's at. She is reading the Darkhold with her astral projection. She's making tea in her human body. So her concentration level won't be fully in on Agatha to keep that there. Is she going to be able to break free? A lot like we saw during WandaVision, as things happened, people kind of came out of control. And then she kind of pulled it back in. If she can get that moment of freedom from Wanda's magic, she can probably free herself. So I do think Agatha will be back very soon.
I don't know. I wanted to say something about a new segment we're doing here called Dave Reels It In. And it's due to the fact that a lot of our predictions of this from WandaVision were grandiose. Some of them were grounded, but the reason that they were, I think, is because Marvel has just been doing such a wonderful job with their stories. It wasn't just us making these big predictions for characters that weren't listed on the show, weren't listed as being on the show. We thought were going to pop up. We just expect epic stories from Marvel. And, that's a lot of pressure to put on them. But at the same time, they've kind of earned it. So from now on, what I'm going to do when I hear something that isn't substantiated, or when it hasn't been mentioned in casting, or if a character is not on the show, or if it seems a little crazy, I'm gonna reel it in. I'm gonna do a Dave Reels It In, and I'll make a more grounded prediction because I feel that some of my predictions were way off, and I think I want to be a little more.
You're gonna try to keep us grounded?
Okay.
Maybe, because we do tend to get out there. And that is a great segue into what I think is going to happen next. Wanda, while reading the Darkhold, studying the Darkhold in her astral form, she heard Tommy and Billy calling out to her to save them. I don't think that is Tommy or Billy. I do think that is a darker power. Yes, I am still on that Mephisto Chthon bandwagon, is the one doing it. They are pulling her in. She has opened the Darkhold. She has opened up that Pandora's box. She is not going to be able to reel it in herself. And she is going to open up thinking she can save her kids and bring in some dark power. And that's where we're going to get into the multiverse of madness and Doctor Strange stepping in. And maybe it was just me. Did anyone else think that post-credits scene was filmed by somebody else? That seemed more Sam Raimi than it did, the makers of WandaVision.
Oh yeah, that 100% makes sense. And it does look like Sam Raimi to me. And, I think you're right on. I'm not going to reel that theory in. I think that theory is great. As far as you match it up with the comics, if she can hear Tommy and Billy, and maybe it is Mephisto. He saw how, he's involved with magic. He saw how attached she became to her, not real kids. And now he's going to lure her back in with them farther to the dark side. Like we're going to the, dark side of the force, and this is Palpatine, could be doing that. So I'm not going to reel that one in. That is a very real possibility to me.
Dave, that means that there's a possibility that all of my theories are right too, and that all of the witches are secretly powered by Infinity Stones.
I am inevitable.
Yeah, let me reel that in, Doug.
I do believe the Infinity Stones were destroyed using the Infinity Stones.
The Infinity Stones are no more. They're like this dead parrot. No more.
But I do think eventually down the line, they could, I think we've talked about this before, there's something that is almost universal to the cosmos in the Marvel Universe. So they may attempt to reform themselves, but I don't think it'll be anytime soon.
Another concern I had about WandaVision was that Tyler Hayward turned out to be a bad guy after all. They just introduced S.W.O.R.D. into the MCU, and now the leader of S.W.O.R.D. is already a bad guy. That kind of bothers me. I mean, at the end, when the Skrull came in and told Monica, we can get you off the ground again, and we'll go, up. I think, she was down there on behest of Nick Fury. That's a theory of mine that I don't think I need to reel in. I think it's very realistic. And that we're going to find out that Nick Fury is actually not, he's actually working for SWORD now, and obviously not SHIELD.
Now, do you think that they're not going to be called SWORD, but when Fury gets filled in on what happened on Earth, he'll be like, SWORD, I kind of like that. Let's use it. And they're going to steal it.
And hey, why don't we call this super secret spaceship Dagger?
I think they'll change a couple of words, but they'll keep it, same acronym.
They're going to have the same mission overall, protect Earth. And I think that's what Fury has been doing in space. If that is the peak station with the Skrulls, that's what they're going to continue to do. And maybe they will keep SWORD, or maybe they're not going to use that at all again, and they're just going to be Fury's crew, or, they'll probably come up with an acronym.
It'd be a good way for them to kind of introduce dropping the whole sentient weapon thing in the name of SWORD if, Nick Fury got a hold of it and decided to call it something else.
While we are talking about sentient weapons, where was the Vision going after that Ship of Thesis fun that we had in the library? Where is he going to go? Thinking about his memories were basically restored, but the last thing that really the Vision remembers was living with Wanda, being attacked by the Black Order, and then basically, unfortunately, getting the Mind Stone ripped out of his head by Thanos in Wakanda. He's not going to go to Wakanda. He's probably not going to go back to where him and the Scarlet Witch were living, but I do think deep down in his programming, he is going to understand the need for the Avengers. He's almost the opposite of Ultron. He is going to try to reform the Avengers, get everyone that's left together and make sure that they're all together as a team. And I think that's where his storyline is going to take him post WandaVision.
I can tell you where he went, Keith. He shot right up into the sky and into the MCU because that's where he's needed.
Amen.
Another thing that I didn't like about the end of WandaVision, not saying that I didn't love the show because it was awesome, but what was up with that Evan Peters casting? I mean, to me, it's just wrong now. It's very misleading and it's very disappointing.
Do not even get me started on that, Dave. I went through meticulous editing and theorizing that he was definitely, if not the Fox X-Men version of Quicksilver, he had to be a Quicksilver and he's Ralph. He's just a dude named Ralph. And you know what I think they did? I think they did it so they could make a boner joke.
You're Ralph Boner?
Boner.
They made their boner joke and they got their chuckle, and that was what they did. And then they laughed at our expense.
We are laughing.
I think I'm going to play Mephisto's advocate here. I think that casting was just brilliant trolling by Marvel. They got so many people talking about Quicksilver, and this is going to be Reverse House of M, and we're getting the mutants, that they really just got so much, viral marketing out of that one thing. And, am I sad? I wanted to see, after Doug's wonderful theory in that one video, which I can't remember what it's called. It's linked right there right now. After his wonderful theory about why it was that Quicksilver, I bought it 100%. I wanted it to be, but am I too mad that they named him after a character from Growing Pains? No, not so much. I mean,
where were you at to reel us in there for that, Dave, huh?
Yeah, see, this is a new segment that I will be doing from now on. So I have a few ideas what's next, and they're mostly open-ended questions. So I want to hear from you down in the comments below as well. And one of them is, does Monica have her own show in the works? Or will we see her character more developed in Captain Marvel 2? Because, Monica clearly has a problem with Carol Danvers, but maybe for not being there for her mom, or maybe not coming back afterwards. But, with the skrull in the last scene, I'm guessing that was sent by Nick Fury. And I'm not going to reel that one in. I think it's still real. I just think, is she going to develop in a movie, or is she going to get her own show? What do you think, guys?
Well, see, I had a theory about that, and I know. Okay. And maybe I'm looking too deep into it, but when she approaches her outside and says,
Captain Rambo, they're asking for you in the theater. Thank you.
I assumed that that's what they were kind of hinting at. That was what they're going for, like a little nudge, nudge, tongue-in-cheek, wink, wink, because she's going to appear in the movies. We already know that she's going to show up in Captain Marvel 2, but I think that's just their way, WandaVision's way of saying, okay, this was her launch pad. Now she's going to be in the movies from here on out.
And that's great. That'd be great if that happened, because she was definitely my personal favorite character on the show. I love. This was kind of like an origin story for the character, and I love origin stories, and I like the way it started.
It was definitely an origin story for Photon, Spectrum, Captain Marvel, whatever she's going to be called in the MCU. But she has not fully grown into her powers yet. We did see her kind of use them to slow down the bullets, even though both Billy and Tommy had powers and it probably wasn't going to hit them anyway. But we see her start to use them. So what do we need? Training montage. It's a montage. So whether we get that in Captain Marvel 2, or we get it in maybe what Doug had talked about in our theory before, that we were going to be introduced to a Photon show for Disney Plus. That'd be great. Either way, we need more Photon in the MCU. Sooner, later, all day, every day.
Yeah, definitely the best part of that show to me. And the second question I had was, how will the events of WandaVision play into Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness? Wanda's projecting herself at the end of, in the as we've discussed in the post-credit scene, the same way Doctor Strange did while studying the Darkhold. And when you go to the IMDb storyline for Multiverse of Madness, it says an old friend turned enemy seeks to destroy every sorcerer on Earth, messing with Doctor Strange's plan and also causing him to unleash an unspeakable evil. Now, when I first read that, and after watching WandaVision, I thought maybe Wanda was the old friend, but I obviously, going back to the first movie, it was Mordo. But maybe Wanda, is she the unspeakable evil that he's going to unleash?
She could definitely be an unspeakable evil, but I don't know if she would really be an old friend. Did she even know who Doctor Strange was? Like, I don't even think she ever met the guy, did she? Because I was thinking back, I was going back to watch, Infinity War and Endgame, and I don't think she ever actually met Doctor Strange. She may have met one of the wizards or seen them on the battlefield, but I don't think they ever had a conversation or talked or anything. So to call her an old friend, I don't know. Yeah. That could just be phrasing for IMDb. But an unspeakable evil? Oh yeah, for sure. After this last episode, we've already mentioned that, but yeah, I could buy that she could be an unspeakable evil.
She is not going to be the unspeakable evil. Have you guys not been listening to me at all? It's Chatan. My God. What is going on around here?
Reel it in.
No, wait, hold on. Before you reel it in, bank it. He's showing up. He's going to be played by Ian McDermott or somebody, and just count it. I mean, I've been right on every other prediction. I was right about Mephisto and WandaVision. I was right about...
Sure you were, Keith. Okay.
Hey, Keith, there's a reason I get to reel it in. It's because I knew about Boba Fett being pooped out of Tatooine.
we were 100% right about that. You're correct, Dave. Good job. You were absolutely 100% right. Not Your Status Quo. 24/7, 365 days a year. Always right, no matter what.
And another reason I think that, all right, I'll just add a little more context, is that Agatha said Scarlet Witch is more powerful than the Sorcerer Supreme. That's got to be some unspeakable evil.
Well, also remember what Agatha said to her. She says, you have no idea what you've unleashed. So this is going to, if she shows up in Doctor Strange, maybe to help Doctor Strange against Mordo, trying to destroy all the sorcerers, I think there's a very good chance that Doctor Strange realizes that she has tapped into the Darkhold, and that is going to put them at odds. So we could see them teaming up at first to help stop Mordo, and then he is going to realize, hey, this has got to stop. What you are doing is wrong. Agatha was right. You have no idea what you've unleashed.
So, speaking of what she unleashed, did you guys think that the Scarlet Witch story told a better Phoenix Force origin story than any of the Phoenix movies?
I think nobody has done the Phoenix Saga right. And he was talking about, Keith was talking earlier about the comics, the way they slow played it. They slow played Thanos in the movies. They took, from the first Avengers movie, what is that? That's another 15 movies after that to have it realized. That's what they got to do with the Phoenix Saga.
I mean, comparing this, because I did think they kind of did almost kind of the Scarlet Witch is almost a force like the Phoenix in this, and they did a better job than Dark Phoenix or X-Men: The Last Stand. But Richie Rich did a better job of doing the Phoenix Saga story than those two movies, so it's really not fair to compare. I mean, those two movies were absolute trash, and I'm still very angry about both of those movies, because that means we are probably not going to get the Phoenix Saga in the MCU until like 2057 or somewhere around there, once this bad taste has been washed from everyone's collective palate, because we need it done right. That could be, as big as as Infinity War and Endgame, but unfortunately they're not going to be able to do it anytime soon, and they shouldn't, honestly. Let's meet Jean Grey, let's meet Marvel Girl, and let her build up to it, and then get that power and use it for good for a while, so it actually has some emotional impact that she turns evil.
So what you're saying, Keith, is X-Men in the MCU, 100% confirmed, theory right again.
Yes, the X-Men are showing up in the MCU. That is guaranteed.
No need to reel that in. That's happening.
That's what we think is next after WandaVision. What do you guys all think? Leave it down in the comments below. And like always, thanks so much for watching. We'll see you next time at Not Your Status Quo.